we're going to make nests, but before we get started, put on your art clothes and cover your workspace. I have a canvas over my workspace, but you could put an old sheet. You can put a plastic tablecloth if you have one, but if you use a plastic tablecloth, then try to save it, wipe it off and save it so we don't waste plastic or anything else you can think of you could cover your table with. I like to work on the floor, so often I put a sheet down on the floor, and if you do, I suggest taking your shoes off because it's much easier to get glue, paint, everything else off your feet than it is to get it off your shoes. Just make sure that where you work is an art-friendly spot. Today we're going to make nests. Hopefully it's a beautiful day today, and I'm hoping that means that it's the beginning of spring, and I have seen some robins bouncing around, so cross your fingers. I want to show you first some real nests that I have found over the years. I actually have a big old box of them, but I just wanted to show you to see what they do. There's a lot of mud under the bottom and actually all around, which helps them stick the different things on here. This is, I think, some grasses. And this bird actually found, there's a black plastic twist tie, so birds will use whatever they can find that they feel like is going to make their nest strong. I actually found, I used to teach in my backyard, and the next year I found a bird nest that had some of the materials that we had used the year before. So they're very clever about that. Ingenious. This one has a lot of fluff. It almost looks some of it like dryer fluff, and then there's also an old tissue in here, and so it's nice that it has all this fluff in it, so it keeps the eggs nice and safe. And then this is one of my favorites. I call it the apartment building because you can see that there is a nest down here, and then the following year, I don't know if it was the same bird or a different bird, came back and built another nest on top of it. And then the following year, built another nest. So that's why I call it the apartment building. So let's get started. The first thing you do, and I've already been out to do this, is go outside. You could use a bag and whatever you want, and find some different natural materials. I found this was kind of fun because it was rolling down this dried hydrangea. I thought these were pretty cool. I actually found some real moss today, and it was in a parking lot, so I didn't feel like bad picking it up. I also have some moss that I got at the store. Leaves, grasses, dried grasses, kind of like this one has dried grasses. So I'm going to take all of my things and I'm going to pour them out. I found a little bark. I'm going to pour them out of my bowl. If you didn't collect them in your bowl, you just need a bowl. I have a paper bowl, but you could use any bowl you have around the house because we're going to put something in it, which I'll show you in a minute. It doesn't matter, your bowl's not going to get ruined. So I'm going to take foil. And as you can see, the bowl is a similar shape to the bird nest, although birds do make all different sizes and shapes of nests depending on what kind of bird they are. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to push it down in the middle as far as I can, and then I'm going to wrap the edges around here. You can just do it loosely. You don't have to worry about it being exact, but it is nice if it's kind of tucked down in there. And then the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take some of the things that I found. I'm not going to take all of them because I'm going to need more things for the top. And this is the hardest part to understand because we're going to hide whatever you put in here, and then next week you're going to take it out and you'll be able to see all the things around there again. You can put things on the bottom, but as you can see, when you put the nest down, you can't see the bottom, but you're welcome to put things on the bottom. You do it however you want. You're the artist. So I just want to make sure that I have things around the sides. So this one still has a lot of dirt on it, which is fine. Pull that off. I'm going to have some of mine sticking up. I'll take a few of these little flowers. I will say that your neighbors would probably not be that happy with you if you pick their flowers, but if you have flowers or something in your yard that you want to use, you could do that. I'm going to have some of these because I like them. And I'm going to take some of this moss and put it here. I can also put some things in the bottom, but I'm going to put my favorite things around the side because I want to be able to see them later when I take the nest out. I want to go back for a second. You can make your whole nest with natural materials. You do not have to use any of the things that I've pulled out. You can also, if you come up with other ideas of what you want, you could do that. It doesn't have to be like mine or exactly like mine or anywhere close to mine. This is your nest, so you do it how you want. I am going to put a little yarn around here. If I had some colorful flowers, maybe I would do that. And then I think I'm going to take a little bit of this tissue paper. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And now I'm ready for the next step. Remember that it's around the side. You can definitely have some in the middle, but just make sure you've got plenty around the sides. Okay? So I have a bucket of dirt here. You can dig it up from your yard, maybe where there are plants. You can dig it up if everybody's okay with it, with the grass stuck in it. Maybe you have some dirt at home for potting plants. You can use that. And then I'm going to put glue in there. Now, you likely do not have this giant glue thing, but a lot of people have glue, or if you're needing to go to the store, you could grab some glue. If you have one of those regular size bottles, you might actually need close to a whole one. It depends on how much dirt you're going to make. It depends on how big your bowl is. I'm going to pour a little bit of water, not very much, because I don't want to make dirt soup. I'm just pouring a little water to make it easier to stir. This is an old paint stirring stick, so I like to use those. But you could also use a wooden spoon, or you could use not this end of the brush, but if you have a big brush, you could use this end for stirring. And use this. And I'm just going to stir it up all the way to the bottom. If you're making a huge batch of this for more than one nest at a time, you definitely want a bigger container. But you also just want to make sure you get all the way down to the bottom because you want every bit of this to have glue. So I'm going to pour a little more in. I didn't get enough in mine. If you end up with dirt soup, then you can always add more dirt. I have dirt standing by. I'm just stirring it up. I don't want it to be too wet or too dry because right now I'm getting it so that it's covered with glue, but not so much that it's just going to pour right in there. Okay, I think I'm going to be, mine is ready. So now I'm going to scoop it right in there. I'm going to try not to knock everything down. A little bit more. So some people like the feeling of playing in mud and some people don't. So you can take your hands, and we want to make it back into a bowl shape so that there's a safe place for the eggs. And the mama bird can sit there. So remember that just because I'm doing it with these materials, if you have some awesome idea about using different materials on the inside or the outside, go for it. This is just my sample. So you want to have it thick enough that it's not going to get a hole in it. We are going to end up taking this out. So you want to make sure it's strong, but you don't have to make it super thick. If you don't like doing it with your hands, I mean, you could do it with gloves. You can also kind of smooth it up like this. I want to make sure I have all my things touching the dirt glue mixture. So now I'm going to put a few more of my things on the top. You can do all the natural materials, or you can choose other things. What are these cool things? I want to use this. So things do not have to be just in the bowl. You can have them sticking out. You can have sticks in there. I could have put sticks underneath too. Make it nice and strong. Might want to have something sticking up, just for fun. Kind of like a bird nest fort. A few more things that the bird might like to have. This is kind of like what the nest in my backyard that I was talking about had, this like shiny, I don't know what it is, shredded shiny paper. So we will put that one there. If you want to make it really cozy for your bird, for the eggs in the nest, you could put some of this in too. If you have fluff at home, or you could tear up some tissues and put it in there, like shred them, or roll them into a little ball, whatever you want to do. Oh, I forgot something really important that I wanted to use. I wanted to use my real moss. It just looks so like really soft and comfy. Okay, so there is my nest. I'm going to let this nest dry for, it depends on where it is. It's sunny today. If I put it in a window, it would dry maybe in 2 or 3 days. It's probably going to take longer than that. If your dirt is really thick, it's going to take longer. If it's thin, but what you can do when you take once it is dry, and you can test it. So to test it, you would just peel this off. Remember I said you don't have to worry about the bowl. So we're going to pull it out with the foil. Obviously mine is not done. If it starts bending or feels like it's wet, it's not dry enough, just put it back in the window or just anywhere in your house. I want to say one other thing about this. If you want to, you could draw pictures of birds and cut them out and put them in there. If you have some sort of modeling material like Play-Doh, or there's something called Model Magic that I really like to do. You can get the white kind and you can color on it with markers. So you could make birds, you could make eggs, you could draw things and put them on. Here are a couple. This one's kind of flat, and the eggs might roll off the side, but that doesn't matter, it's your nest. And now you can see the things that were put on the outside. Right? This has a melted clay bird. So you can see the things that are on the outside here. So I also, last thing I was going to show you, I think, was you could, if you really like origami, you could make some origami cranes. We are going to put some instructions up alongside this, and so you could find out how to do it. I'm sure you can look it up also, but we have some pretty good instructions for you. So maybe I'll put one on this one here. But you know, it could be it doesn't have to be a bird nest. It could be a dragon's nest. It could be an elephant nest. It could be anything you want it to be. You could build it up on the sides. You take it from wherever this is. So here's your start, and just use your imagination and go. And see you next week.